And to give you a little orientation, we're looking at where we've come from, the shift in our current digital landscape, and then where we're going. Because if you know anything about a map, you know that it's not just important about where you want to go, but it's about orientating to where you actually are. Because each of us are going to have a different sequence of steps to get to where we want to be, depending on where we currently are, depending on our current circumstance. So depending on what your business is, what your goals and dreams are, how much you know about AI, how much you're willing to embrace, let go, what your values are in life, all those things form your orientation. And I'm starting today with our orientation because a lot of us, especially us millennials, have a lot of undoing to actually get free to move into the future. So there might be some fears and things that have been holding us back. And we're just going to have a little look at those to warm us up for moving forward. And if you can keep hearing me, just keep saying, yes, I can hear, yes, can hear. And if you've got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going. And actually, okay, Haley's smiling, so I think she can hear me. Doing great. Okay. Let me then just actually, do you know what I'm going to do in case this is not going to work? This is the last delay. I'm going to record. I'll record this. And then we'll have something. Okay. Great. All right. For the final time, orientation, where we've come from, our current reality, which is our shifting digital landscape, into the future, where we're going. Let's start with the do it right bro marketers and boss babes of the millennium. So when it comes to marketing of the past, we've all been a little bit bullied. And maybe you haven't even known you've been bullied. And maybe you haven't even known you've been a bit of a bully. I certainly have had to look at a lot of these things and undo them in my own marketing messaging. Because the messaging of our millennium has been like, you are not good enough as you are. You don't want it bad enough because if you did, you'd have more. And you have this problem that only my product or my service can solve for you. So there's a lot of scarcity, there's a lot of limitation, and all of that is really a lot of bullying. So the creative approach that we're going to be looking at of the future is saying that you're going to have support instead of solutions. Not everything is a problem and solution. You can actually have options, elevations, alternatives, enhancements, expansions, and more. So we're looking at this shift from, doing it right to, yes, you can. How about some more, please and thank you. In the past, we had these very generic war terms that you would have seen all over online. Ideology like crush social media, conquer the market, slay your day, dominate your competitors, you're killing it. It's very much a us versus them, fear versus choice. And so if you look at a quick little comparison of who says what, bullies online use words like attack, crush, conquer, smash, demolish, dominate, defeat, and execute. Whereas creatives use words like embrace, get, give, grow, create, succeed, thrive, and deliver. So we get to shift our language around marketing of the past toward marketing of the future. And if you have ever wondered if you're being bullied online, here are some surefire ways to tell. Number one is, are they calling on my highest potential or are they putting me down? Do I feel expansive when I hear this, or does it make me shrivel up inside because something is seriously wrong? I'm doing something wrong. Something is not good enough. Do I want this or do I feel like I need this? If it's any of those, then these are shameful ideologies. We want to get rid of those. It's what I call marketing BDSM. So this is a kinky term, but it makes for very fat-free vanilla marketing. And it's traditional marketing as we know it, which can be broken down into these four major sections. Limitation and scarcity, which says things like, you're not enough, you're missing out, you're running out of time, and there's a limited price or quantity. It's the idea of having a pain point or a big bleeding neck problem, and you've got to poke those pain points that you offering a big golden solution. It's looking at shame, saying to the person buying from you that you're not good enough. And there's this generalized sense of punishment and victimhood, that there are terrible consequences if you don't act now, almost to the point of it being apocalyptic. So there are old rules, which we're not going to play by, and there are new ideas. The old rules are all about conforming to the status quo, doing it right, listening to the guru, whereas the new ideas are completely about creativity. It's uncharted. You get to make it up completely on your own individual take. And when we look at creativity, to give you a hint of what's to come, it's listening to your heart. And if you look at the word heart, what it contains is the word art. And if you look at the word smart, what it contains is the word art. So your heart is the smartest thing about you. It's got your art. And tapping into your art is going to be what you share with the world in your own unique way. Everything you do is an extension and expression of who you are. That's the art from your heart. You don't need to crush anything. You get to create it. You don't need to be in competition with anyone. You get to serve and form communities. You don't have to be conservative and think that there's only one way and it's your way for your people. Instead, you get to have compassion for very different kinds of people from different walks of life, race, gender, circumstance. Understand where other people are coming from. The past was very complicated and the future is complex. That's not complicated. It just means interconnected, multi-layered. It's not just as simple as black and white. There's complex interactions going on, and that makes things more beautiful. Work of the past was compulsive. The future is about clarified play. We don't need to control others when we work this way. We get to celebrate others. And pricing does not have to be cryptic or end in a 7 or be a buy now or it's going to cost a fortune later. We get to have comprehensive pricing, things like sliding scales, giving different prices for people of different backgrounds, sponsoring people, like a whole bunch of different ways to do pricing, and also just being very clear and transparent about it, that it's not like going to go up dramatically if you don't get it at this instant. I'm just going to come back to the notes here. Oh, great. I love you like smart hearts. Lovely. All right. So to orientate, we're at a place where we get to reimagine business. Literally how it's done to how it gets to be done. That's where we're at now at the frontier. And if you want more, what we've just discussed is an extract from one of my blogs, which is called Maturing Past Marketing Bullies to Build Better Businesses. So let's mature past and look at the shift. To summarize it very simply, it's from Gary Vee to Kabi Lame. Past, meet the future. And again, this has been broken down into a full blog, but I'm just going to give you the highlights of the from and the to. So the content style of Gary Vee of the past, and you'll know this from online people, was very verbose. They talk a lot. The future, Kabi Lame's style, is actually silent. He mimes. He doesn't even speak. So if you don't want to talk on camera, you might not even have to. You might just get to share a video clip of you doing something inane, like making tea in the background and having some text. You don't have to be a motivational speaker. Let's close this. So from motivational, we shifted more toward humorous, from business orientated to entertainment focused. I truly believe that in the future, we will no longer have marketing departments, but production companies. The messaging is also shifting from ambition driven to simplicity centered, from this advocacy of hard work to debunking overcomplication. There's no longer this relentless pursuit of success. Instead, we're emphasizing the absurdity of complexity, how some things just don't need to be so overly complicated. And we're again changing with our audience engagement. We don't have to have everything to call us to action. Instead, we just get to share experiences, be relatable, be reflective, ironic even, laid back. And this is the part that I find the most fascinating, is when you start to look at the cultural and artistic roots of content of the past compared to the future. We are moving from this very American motivational speaking, all about the individual, capitalism, make as much money as you can. It's sharing really beautifully with your audience. A clown, in its classic sense, is an eternally hopeful creature, a beautiful being that's heart is like a little flower. We all have a little clown inside of ourselves before it gets masked up and told that it has to be professional and be a serious business person. And what Kabi Lame is doing, and if you don't know him, please just go and follow him on TikTok after this. He's got, I think it's like, 161 million followers, something insane. He's the largest TikTok creator that there is, the biggest influencer. And what he's doing is clowning. It's just showing that things get to be simple and lovely and funny. And he's amassed this huge following by doing the opposite of that Gary Vee style. Yes, I love that little heart face. Exactly. So clowning and performance is what we're actually moving toward more than being a guru who knows everything. It's being a creature who feels everything and knows how to connect with others. So, the currency of our future, I believe, is actually connection. How are you able to connect with one another and your audience? And this connection is what moves us toward a future of true creative excellence. That's where we're going. With AI technology like Creatrix, and I'm mentioning Creatrix because I invented it. So obviously, I think it's the best piece of AI generative tool that's out there. And Creatrix is your all in one content marketing generator. Basically, if you can dream it, Creatrix can do it in a flash. And I'm going to unpack a little bit for you so you can see how advanced this is from maybe some of the AI tools you currently know. So, Creatrix is part of prescriptive AI, which combines creative strategy, predictive analytics, and generative AI with a little bit of sentiment analytics and neuromarketing all together. So, this is part of that complexity, that interdependence that I spoke about earlier. That with AI, we're seeing this unique conglomeration of all these interesting solutions being pulled together to make something comprehensive that integrates with our workflow. How Creatrix works is based on performing arts. So my background is as a performer. I grew up on stage. Oh, thanks, Haley. I grew up on stage, and if you've done any performing arts, you'll know that one of the best skills you can learn is improvisation, having that dynamic play with the audience, really listening to them, building upon their suggestions, and going with the flow. Social media was never meant to be a static monologue, just blasting information into the abyss like a billboard. It's supposed to be a conversation. And Creatrix was built with this idea in mind that your best content deserves an encore. Give the audience what they want. Listen to your audience. And I remember learning a few years ago when I was working with this transformational coach, and he said that often in life, people can confuse being listened to with being loved because we don't listen to anyone anymore. So if you can listen to your audience, what people truly want, what they truly value, it'll really feel like you love them, because in a way, that's exactly how you're loving them. So if you do listen to your audience, you're going to build higher engagement, you're going to grow your audience, you're going to turn your followers into advocates for your business that literally create word of mouth marketing and start telling other people about what you do because they're so invested. And ultimately, this is going to result in more sales. It's a much gentler way to do marketing. The problem with AI like ChatGPT, Claude, and Llama is that it pulls from generalized data sets. So the reason I've got the cherry there is that it's like ChatGPT is like going into a giant fridge and taking all the food in the fridge, the chicken, the lettuce, the cherries, the orange juice, and blending it all together and saying, hey, ChatGPT, give me some food. And it gives you this brown cube. And it's like, there's some food, except that's just revolting. That's not food. That's just a gloop. What you want is a delicious sandwich or a cherry or an ice cream. So what Creatrix does is it extracts those pieces of excellence and makes them distinctly delicious. You want your deliverables to be distinct. That's what people are going to enjoy. They're not going to enjoy the gloop. So right now, if you ask ChatGPT to give you a content plan, it's just going to go into the mix, pull all that generic stuff that's online already, pull it back and just give you something basic. But you don't want that. You want it to be based on what your audience loves the most. What's going to feel like an encore for them? What's going to feel like you're really listening to them? How are you going to listen to them? Well, you've got to know what they love and follow that compass into a content forecast. Very much like a financial forecast. Your content is your currency, it's your gold. So what does your audience value? Give them more of that good stuff. And that's exactly what Creatrix does. So the premise of Creatrix, unlike ChatGPT, is not how do I churn faster? It's how do I promote excellence? How do I simplify the data so that I can amplify the results starting from the pinnacle of excellence and expanding from there. How do I leverage the best and move forward from that place? And that is just the beginning. You want to expand from excellence. So while you have this 80% baseline of content that you know is working brilliantly, because Creatrix has identified your content themes and patterns and audience sentiment, it's taken those insights into an action plan, it's generated that all for you, everything's going smoothly. You then want to start adding in fresh wildcard content into the mix. You want to maintain that quality, but you want to go further. Because as you know, the best ideas are the ones we haven't seen coming before. They take us by surprise. We always want to be going beyond expectation. So now when you have something like AI doing all your grunt work for you, you can start pushing into avenues that you've never, ever tried before. And this brings us back to from Meta, sorry, Mark Zuckerberg, but to theater. What humans crave is the volatile, dynamic, unexpected, and unpredictable. We don't want picture perfect polish. We want improvised performance art. We want it to be more human. It's why me talking to you right now, even with all the glitches and mistakes, is real and more engaging than if I was an AI generated, perfectly spoken person that you could watch at double speed anytime you wanted. It's not as engaging as a human because this is real. This is actual connection. So that's where we are actually moving toward in content. And I've got a little link for you here. I'll send you this, where you can all have access to this for all the little links of where these reference points come from. But this is on an article called The Rise of Relatable Content, Why Social Media Relevance Matters More Than Video Quality. So if you have been playing with any generative AI tools, you'll know that even when you make these generic videos, they don't get as much engagement. Yes, you can make it faster, but faster means nothing if you don't get improved results. The focus of AI needs to be on what results you get, not on speed. We've moved into the future where AI does your grunt work. 80% of your work AI can do. You can automate and outsource it to AI. Your work time will now be taking 20% of what it used to. And that's great because you get to focus 80% of your time now on doing your dreams. We've shifted to an entirely new paradigm. It's not about becoming optimized productivity machines and being the little robots that get things done and doing more. We're in a whole new era now. Because when intelligence is artificial, the question isn't, what do you know? It's what do you want? When you don't have to work because your work is being done, you get to ask yourself the most important question in the world, which is, what do I want to do with my time? How creative do I want to be? How expansive do I want to be? What edges do I want to expand into? How do I want to express myself differently? And these questions can feel quite terrifying if you are confined to this working robotic way of being trained, like we all have, being perfectionists or being procrastinators and linking everything back to our productivity. You're now going to have a lot more time on your hands. So what do you want to do with that time? And if you want to discuss any of those options or let me know what you're thinking, you can book a time with me, hello@laurenwallett.com. But I'd love to know now any questions that you have from this little glimpse into our future, any questions that have come up for you, and any initial thoughts when you hear the question, what do you want? What springs to mind for you? And I'll end with a little story of my own. When let me stop sharing this. When I created Creatrix and I realized it was doing so much work for me because it was analyzing all my accounts, auditing them, giving me full content forecasts. My results were so much better. I was able to pitch clients, like I had a full marketing team in minutes. Everything was so quick to do. I suddenly had this extra time and it allowed me to go back to something I've loved doing, but haven't done in 20 years because I've been so busy working. And that was to go back to performing arts classes and go back to clowning and actually do things that I was studying in university, but haven't done since. And I was able to do my first street performance in New York as a performing clown, of all things, on the streets, because I had all the time in the world. I didn't have to work or be serious. I could just play and create. So it's really been this beautiful shift away from mental anguish and work into more physicality, emotional exploration, challenging myself with things that I didn't think I would ever do, but now I can do. And that's what I think AI is enabling us to do, is really reclaim our own humanity and get back in touch with who we are and what matters to us. From the clowning, I've come to England and I'm spending more time with my sister. I suddenly have more time to actually be with family. I'm swimming in the heath, cold water swimming in the mornings, just doing things that I never imagined would be an option for me because I've always been so busy, but now I'm not. So that's the final question. Is I'd love to hear what are some of the things that you're going to do with all the new time on your hands. Love that, Haley. Yeah, great. Yeah, so if there's any other questions, you can email me, and we can book a time to chat. Otherwise, I'm really thrilled to be part of this event, and thank you, Haley, for organizing it. I can't wait for AI Impact coming up in November.
Thank you, Lauren. Honestly, you deserve I don't know if Job got anything from the Bible for all the things that he went through, but my gosh, you're amazing. You're so sweet. What a professional to put up with internet and crazy new swap card stuff, and it's totally pioneering with us with class and just grace. So thank you. I freaking love your presentation. I love the way that you approach this world that sometimes feels very very transactional, right? To your point. And I love how you kind of just call that out and you say it doesn't have to be that way. It can be this way, and we're going to use the power of AI to make it better. You're just like a woman after my own heart, sister. I'm telling you.
Thanks. Thanks.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and I see Charlene says she wants to travel with family. I bet you that's the thing that pops up the most.
Totally.
Is that people want to spend more time with their families, with travel more.
Yeah, just not doing anything.
My concern is, or this is the challenge for leaders, right? And business leaders in particular, that we get this extra productivity. I'm getting now 8 hours of work out of my of work out of my employee. Should I give them that time back now, right? I'm still getting the amount of productivity that I got at 8 hours, but I'm getting it in 6. Should I give them the 2 hours back? Or should I try to go for broke and get 10 hours? So, I think that's a good question. Like, what's your guidance to people to like help them navigate that balance of like, well, we do have a business to run, but also, giving people time?
It just goes back to results. What are results is it getting? That time is irrelevant now because things happen so fast. But if you have extra time and it means you can take that time to make something better, like, like for Instagram, for example, instead of making one post, you can make a carousel of 10 because you have a little bit of extra time and you've got AI to back you up. Just make everything that much better. Spend some more time on design, but it's still going to be less time than how you would have done it badly in the past. So
Yes.
I'd say it's somewhere in between. Like, I know for me, now I'll write one blog and then land up doing a series of 3 for every one because it's AI enhanced. So I still can't really stop myself altogether, but I do a lot more spaciousness to think up bigger ideas, knowing that those bigger ideas are actually durable in the same amount of time as one basic thing would have taken me. So I think it's a half-half. I'd say like we've got to ease ourselves into this more time because it can feel overwhelming. I'm still super used to just being productive all the time, and I've got to realize like, oh, I don't have to write 5 blogs today just because I can, or 17 posts. I mean, I just like want to go extra because I'm like, well, I've got the time now. But the point is to remember, take that time and think more strategically about my future and what do I really want, and that'll only make my output better. But more doesn't mean better. Quality means better.
More doesn't mean, that's the key right there, what you said. More does not mean better. And I think that's a misconception that is very, very prevalent within our current society and our community. And I think it's 100% spot on, right? That's the big thing about AI. One more question for you, and then I'll let you go, and then we can give people a little bit of time. But Well, actually, before I have a question, Amy has a question. Is Creatrix more like Midjourney or ChatGPT, image-based or text-based? Oh,
Great
over to you,
question. Yeah,
sister.
I barely spoke about actually what I hinted at it, but I didn't actually explain it to you. So
Tell
it's
us.
a great question.
Tell us.
Um,
Yes.
it's actually like neither. It's actually like a visual audit. So if you imagine a virtual drawing room, if you were in your office and sticking up pictures on your board of what are the top performing posts of all time or from a certain account and making notes of why those work, like a vision board, that's what Creatrix is like. But it does that all behind the scenes. So it goes into any account in the world, analyzes all their data, ranks it and stacks it in a visual audit of your top 10 posts. From that point, you're able to make your notes or get AI to do it, take a tiny percentage of that top 10, and then it pulls that information from those posts and generates a content forecast. That forecast comes out in text, but then that text you can then plug into Midjourney to create it, or Canva to design it, or generative AI to make it. That's up to you. But it gives you that, it tells you what to do next, and then you can expand that into actual deliverables. So it's really like, it's quite comprehensive. It's like a whole team doing a bunch of different stuff. But you just tap audit, drawing room, studio, and then you tap the button of what you want. Hope that explains it. I'm happy to demo it for you more, but it's very complex but simple at the same time.
And that
a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's perfect way to
Okay.
describe it. And then we are gonna do a demo of it at Impact. Possibly we could do a
Yes,
Loom
I should definitely do
record
that.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
So if you guys want to hear more from Lauren, you got to go to Impact. Just this lady's amazing. Just like I've known her 2 months now, and I just feel like I could feel whole libraries of things I've learned, and also she's all I could fill the libraries with all the stuff that she's helped me unlearn, because unfortunately, Lauren's picked me up at a time because this is all new for me. This marketing stuff. I'm communications, not the same as marketing, guys. Communications is not the same. One drives revenue, one drives understanding. It's kind of a different situation. So I was picking up, just because I didn't know any better, right? Pick up some bad habits that I just saw on LinkedIn as tips and stuff. And then here comes Lauren. And not only does she have the grace to not tell me how foolish I am, but she's the kind patience to fix it without making me feel bad. So, if you ever need anyone to help you, come, I'm volunteering you, but she's fantastic. I totally consider her part of my brain trust of Impact. Gets in line with the mission, the value. Her tools are incredible. Her brain is incredible. Can I say anything more about how wonderful I would like to make you Oscar and just give you as a statue to people? It's so weird. But I did want to ask you one more question, because this is a thing that just I'm really interested in. It came up a little bit today in our opening remarks about artists and navigating the world of AI, and especially right now, on the actor side and the drama side, I think that's a particularly touchy issue. And I was just kind of curious, what are your thoughts about it? And have you had any interesting conversations with some of your fellow artists who may not be as educated about AI?
Yeah, I mean, most of my friends are still in the entertainment industry, and the writer's strike and the AI threats have been horrific. And there's actually an incredible Black Mirror episode, season 6, episode 1. It's so good. Yeah, that was just brilliant about that. But my hope, and I touched on these things briefly because I could go into all directions with this time that we have, but I just wanted to give an overview. But the idea of moving toward theater and moving toward performance art is that hopefully when we have optimize social media, knowing what's best to do, knowing this is the best option, I'm hoping that we move more toward getting performers back in the mix. Because we're seeing Kabi Lame doing so well in these alternative kind of performance style creators, that we won't just have marketing departments, we'll have production companies. Each person, everyone will be working with creatives. You don't have to be the face of your business, but you'll hire some actors who will make up some cool improvisations for you, or do really awesome stuff. AI can help with briefs and writing captions or writing scripts, but then performers are going to bring it to life. Just like the example of you and me talking now is always going to be more interesting than two bots talking, or to virtual versions of us
Yeah.
that have been trained on our information talking, because people want that live volatility of, oh my gosh, they could say anything, or I could be there when they came up with that, or it's just more dynamic.
Yeah.
So my hope and dream is that more actors get employed. We see more creativity on social media, and we see just more performance in the world in general, because that's what's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I think the influence
Absolutely.
over, like, let's just watch some creatives, like, entertain us. That's what we're craving. We don't want to be sold to. We do want to be entertained. So that's where content creators
Mhm.
come in, and performers.
That's a really good point. I hadn't really thought of that very much. And, right now, one of the things I think about a lot is how siloed we are in communities in terms of we used to have people go into work. You'd have people go into church, they'd go communities, they'd have their, little community groups were much more active back in like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s than they ever were now. Like even Rotary clubs, all down. Everything, memberships are down. People are just not congregating as much. And I believe that we will start to see a shift in the next. Right now it's still kind of cool and new to be able to work from home, right? So there's still those battles of people wanting to come into the office versus not coming in the office, and they're dealing with their employers. But 5-10 years from now, when seeing live performances, to your point, Lauren, is going to be novel. It's going to be like the cool, sexy thing. Like, oh, I know you can go get an avatar and have someone say it whatever you want. But actually, to your point, live is live. We don't know what's going
Totally.
to happen,
And even in
right?
London now where I'm at, like, there's an amazing improvisational theater. There's shows there all the time. I went to my first one the other week. It was incredible, packed place, and the whole show was improvised. The audience was loving it. They were using social media. They were using our Instagrams and making up stories on the spot. People were loving it. There's workshops you can go to. So now if you're working from home, maybe in the evening, you go to improvisation class, or you go watch your local play, or you take up singing lessons, or we do things where we get to play together. We don't have to work together anymore. We can play. You can go,
Yeah. Play.
like, that'll be so much more fun doing something like that with the group. Then no one wants to play by themselves, but working by ourselves, we don't really mind. Like, I would work from home if I could go and play in the evening. So
Right.
I think
Exactly.
we'll start seeing more of that.
Well, you lived in New York for a little while, sister. Did you ever hear of the MP3 experiment?
No.
Okay, I'm typing this, and if those of you listening at home, I want y'all to go check this out. I spelled experiment wrong, but y'all know what I mean. I was trying to type it fast. Okay, they just started back up again after like 6 years, totally hiatus. But basically, it's called the MP3 experiment. You sign up months in advance. They send you an MP3 file. You're not supposed to listen to it, and you're supposed to meet on the same date, same time, someplace in New York. And they usually give you instructions like wear red or blue or yellow. And then for an hour, it's maybe actually closer to 30 minutes. They're listening to a headphone, MP3. Everyone's listening to it. This big crowd. And it's giving them instruction on how to play with each other. All the yellow shirts, get your Nerf guns against the blue shirts. And they're playing, and there's adults of all ages. It's so beautiful. They just did one again in July. I just noticed they put their video up on what that's like. So go check that out. But in terms, I think we're seeing the resurgence of it as a response to AI. I really do. I
Absolutely.
think it's because they're craving that. And New York is one of the most populous cities in America, and yet it's also the most lonely. It's the loneliest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, this is
So,
no, this is 100% true, and I've got to go for my I'm about to start my
yeah,
next meeting, but
sorry.
yeah, my goal is I'm waiting for the first sale for Creatrix is going through. We've been doing contracts and going through. As soon as that money is in my bank account, the first thing I'm doing is sponsoring a show in New York. I can't wait. I've been waiting for this. I have my favorite show that's on every Wednesday. It's incredible. That's the first thing I want to do. And the goal is, as Creatrix grows, to put more and more money into performing arts and be able to take a show to Edinburgh next year and sponsor young artists. And like, exactly while I'm building the AI is to start supporting artists at the same time, because
beautiful.
one makes the world just more enjoyable. The work gets done, we get to play. That's where I think we're heading.
Exactly. I love it. When you go, you let me know. I'm gonna get on
Yes.
a plane. I'll pop on up the coast, and I'll be there, sister. I'll have a sign and everything. I'll be totally embarrassing. Thank you so much. You were so patient. Great conversation. Thank you, all of you at home, listening to us and being so patient with all the technological issues, but this is worth it in my opinion. So I'm gonna let y'all go into the next session. We'll see y'all in the next one.
Bye.
Thanks, Lauren. You're the